So when my husband first asked me if I wanted to move to Fairbanks, Alaska, I said no, absolutely not. I grew up in Australia. I moved to LA when I was 12, and I always lived in a warm climate. It's a cold that you can't really imagine, that it's like kind of takes your breath away, literally. You just start coughing. It's hard to breathe. It's just everything freezes. Cold you kind of get used to. The dark is hard to get used to. In the winter, it gets to a point where you have 3 hours and 45 minutes of sunlight at max.
Welcome to Ordinary People with Extraordinary Stories. I'm Chani Weisberg, host of this podcast. Joining me today, we have Chani Wolf, all the way from Fairbanks, Alaska. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Chani, your Fairbanks, Alaska is the northernmost Chabad center, and you are an emissary there together with your husband and your son, daughter?
I have a son and a daughter.
Son and a daughter. Okay, with your children. So, what is it like being a Chabad emissary in such a northernmost place?
It's so much. It's amazing. It's extraordinary. It's sometimes a little crazy. It's exciting. And it's an adventure. I would say it's an
I'm
adventure.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. So, you're from Australia and your husband's from LA. Like, what made you decide to go all the way to Alaska to such a cold climate?
So when my husband first asked me if I wanted to move to Fairbanks, Alaska, I said no,
Of
absolutely
course.
not. I grew up in Australia. I moved to LA when I was 12, and I always lived in a warm climate. We were living in Israel at the time, looking for shluchus opportunities, and he saw this come up in a WhatsApp chat. And he's always been the adventurous one, and he's always read books about Alaska, and had always dreamt about Fairbanks as just a really cool place. And when he saw the opportunity to go on shluchus there, it was like a dream to him. So it
Wow.
took, yeah, it
What
was.
was he
It
ever
was a
there
bit of a
before?
journey.
Was
No, he
he
was never there.
he just read about Alaska and
Yeah,
knew about Alaska?
yeah.
Wow. So he decides to that this is a good place to go, and how did he convince you?
So, he told me he booked tickets to go visit for the summer,
Okay.
and I had to do a bit of, research on the place myself, and we spoke to people living there, and we spoke to the other shluchim in Alaska, and I myself had to do a lot of inner research and see if this is the type of shluchus I wanted to live. We knew we wanted to go on shluchus some way, somehow, but we thought maybe in a community, maybe just working within the education system. We didn't think anything crazy like this. And I spoke to a lot of people, a lot of shluchas from all over the world in all different places like Mexico, Wyoming, and Iceland, and people who would be in very similar situations, and really got a good knowledge base of what it would look like living on shluchas in such a cold, dark, isolated type of place. And I said, you know what, let's try it out. Let's see what it's like. I said, okay,
Wow.
fine, let's go visit. I got more on board with
Yeah.
with the idea.
What was it that got you on board? What was it that convinced you that this would be the place?
So we didn't know it would be the place. Yeah. We took
Right.
it step by step. It took a year. It took a year.
Mhm.
It wasn't like I just convinced myself like let's do it. It was a process of kind of learning myself and what I am capable of, and what I wanted for my family, what type of life we wanted to live, and how I wanted to raise my children, and understanding the challenges that can come up, as also with all the benefits of raising your children on shluchas. And
Mhm.
and I really was open to the idea of visiting. I didn't say, "Yes, let's move there." I said, "Let's go
Mhm.
visit." And so we went to visit for a period of time in the summer,
Mhm.
where we were so warmly welcomed by the people living here, and we were really blown away by that, and it still blows us away because the people here living in Fairbanks just kind of, like, opened their arms and said, like, "Oh my gosh, like, we're so ready. We're so ready for you. We're so
Wow.
excited. Like, please come. We need this. We want you here." And they're just so warm, and it was just so many warm connections and experiences that we had with the community here really blew us away, and the people that we met and the Jews that have been living here and had seen we really saw a need. We really saw a big need for a permanent presence here of
Mm.
Jewishness and Jewish leadership, and it really excited us. And when we spoke to the head shluchim of Alaska, Rabbi Yosef and SD Greenberg,
And
they were
they live
very
where? They
they live
live
in
in
Anchorage.
Anchorage?
They live in Anchorage. They've been there for
And
30 years,
wow, how
and
far is that from Fairbanks?
it's just under an hour's flight. It's a 6-hour drive,
Uh-huh.
and they have their children, their daughter and son-in-law, working underneath them in Anchorage, and they have a son and daughter-in-law in Wasilla, Matsu Valley, just about an hour from them. And so we had spoken a lot with them, and they said, "Okay, so you like it for the summer, come back in the winter."
Well,
That's
I
the
was just
real
gonna
test.
say, like, it's one thing to come in the summer and see
Yeah,
it beautifully in the summer, but the winters are very different than the summers
the
there,
winters
right?
are
I know
very
people who
different than
go
the
there in the
summers.
summer. Yeah,
And it's not like the summer doesn't have anything for itself. The summer, the timing and it's always light. It's always light in the
it's
summer.
always light.
We Shabbos came in that week that we were visiting here after midnight, and I
Mhm.
was running late. I was running late to get ready for Shabbos still. I
Really?
had my baby with me. I was like, "Oh, no, I have to, like, take care of the baby," and we were barbecuing till 9, 10 p.m. for the Shabbos meal, and we brought
Wow.
in Shabbos after midnight that week, and we've done that again this past summer where
That's so funny. I guess whenever Shabbos comes in,
no
we
matter
always
how late
wait.
it is, no matter how late it is,
Right.
we're always running, and we got a really cool experience of the timing of the summer then, and then when we came to visit in the winter, it was January. We took a stop first in Anchorage to meet the shluchim there and to get to know them, and then we went to Fairbanks. And the day we got to Fairbanks, the weather dropped, and we were there for 3 weeks to really get a feel for how the winter was, and 2 out
3
of those
weeks.
3 weeks,
Wow.
it was negative 40 degrees,
Oh, wow. Wow.
40
So
below 0.
like, how do you even dress? I mean, I'm from Toronto, but still, like, how do you even dress in that cold?
You just layer up, and you don't spend too much time outside,
Right.
and you just have to have really good boots and gloves and hats and coats, and it's just all about layers. There's no, like,
Right.
secret technique.
Uh-huh.
Um And the more time you spend outside, the more layered up you have to be. Now, after living here for a year and a half, when it's -10 outside, I'll probably wear the same thing that I wear when it's 20 degrees outside because I'm running in and out of the car. If I know I'm
Uh,
spending time out, I'll bundle up more.
right.
I've gotten more
Wow.
used to it now. But
Right.
it's a cold that you can't really imagine, that it's like kind of takes your breath away literally. You just start coughing. It's hard to breathe. It's just everything freezes, and like my sheitel starts freezing, and the inside of your face, just everything is just cold.
Oh, wow. So you're not outside very much, I guess. You can't be outside
You can't be outside for too long if it's
for too
that
long.
cold, but we have done some pretty cool stuff in the past where we've spent a nice amount of time outside at negative 20 degrees, and you just have to be ready for it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So when you came in the winter, I mean, was it very dark then?
It was
Is it
very
is it
dark
very
as
dark?
well, right?
What's it like in the winters?
And okay, so the
I mean, I'm just
winter
getting cold now thinking about this.
yeah, most of what people ask us is about the cold, but the dark plays a big part in the winter
Right.
experience too, almost more uh, of an
Mhm.
impact because the cold you kind of get used to. The dark
Mm.
is hard to get used to. In the
Mhm.
winter, it gets to a point where you have 3 hours and 45 minutes of sunlight at
Oh, wow.
max, the
Like,
shortest
what time does
day of
it
the
get
year.
light?
So sunrise, the shortest day of the year, I think is about 11 a.m. and
Oh,
sunset is 2:40.
wow.
So
I can't even imagine. Wow.
Shabbos that week comes in at 2:22,
Wow.
and last year, that shortest day of the year, that shortest Erev Shabbos of the year, when you think it would be the most hectic, we actually had our biggest Shabbos meal in our shul. We hosted the largest one ever because we said, you know what, let's bring people together on the darkest night in Alaska. Let's bring community together,
Mm.
and so For us, it's kind of like learning how to live with the dark is just you have to keep a schedule. You have to get yourself up in the morning. You have to kids keep you busy, and so you kind of forget sometimes that, okay, the sun hasn't risen yet, and it still hasn't risen, and it still hasn't risen, and right now it's 9 a.m. It still hasn't risen. It's dark
Wow.
outside still.
Wow. Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
How does that affect the prayer times? Because I know our prayer schedules are we daven morning, afternoon, evening, and it's very much based on sunlight. So how would that affect it?
It affects it a lot in the winter and the summer. So the winter is a little easier because you get a little bit of extra time in your morning. You would pray when the sun comes up, and if you need to, you could, I guess, a little earlier, but sometimes you have only a couple hours to do the morning prayer and the afternoon prayer, and then you have the entire night
Mm.
to do the Ma'ariv prayer, the night prayer. But
The evening.
it's totally opposite in the summertime, and that's where it gets a little crazy, and sometimes you feel the craziness of the timing more in the summer than the winter because at one point the sun just it sets, but it doesn't get dark. And so
Mm.
you can pray really anytime in the morning until sometimes midnight.
Mm.
And the
Wow.
afternoon prayer as well, you have, I guess, the entire night. It doesn't get dark until sunset. Sunset sometimes is 12:30. So, but the evening prayer you're meant to do once it's dark. And so that's where it gets tricky. And my husband has had times where he's stayed up past midnight, past 1 a.m. He's stayed up till really right before dawn the next morning, which is just before 2 a.m. to daven the Ma'ariv prayer.
Right, to pray the prayer, the evening prayer. Wow, that's incredible. And what about Shabbat? Like, also, how does that
That's
work?
also definitely a fun experience. So in the summertime, the latest Shabbos Shabbat has come in is has been at 12:30 a.m. And you could bring it in a little bit earlier, but I think the earliest we could bring it in is 11 p.m. and we still weren't ready by then. In the summer times, I would
Wow.
put my kids to sleep and then start cooking and making our dips and desserts, and then we wouldn't have guests those Friday nights because we would be pretty
Too late.
tired, but we would
Right,
sit down for
sure.
a whole meal ourselves. My husband would make the
Wow.
kiddush, and we'd eat challah and gefilte fish and chicken soup. We'd just go for it, and it's 1 a.m., and we always think,
Wow.
"What will the neighbors think?" Every Friday evening, 1 a.m. for 2 months straight, we're sitting down for a Friday night meal. And then the next day, Shabbat would go until 2 a.m., basically
Wow.
Sunday morning, because it's over when it's dark, and it's not dark, so it's over when it's the next day. I
Right,
personally
wow.
love it because 'cause you're so switched off and you're just totally with your family, you're relaxed, you don't have to do anything, and we would be hosting, we'd be enjoying time with the community, and it was just so nice to have all the time in the world to celebrate Shabbat. And then
Interesting.
we wouldn't stay up to make Havdalah.
The
We
Havdalah is a
would
ceremony that we say at the end of Shabbat to end the Shabbat.
we would wait until the next morning. We'd wake up
Right,
in the morning and say the blessing on some coffee.
right.
And that
Wow,
would when
wow,
that would almost be when for us, like, Shabbat concludes.
wow.
Yeah.
So you said you're wondering what the neighbors think of you, like, is it like a regular city? Is it how
It's a
does like
regular city,
is it a
Fairbanks.
regular
It's
city,
a
like,
yeah,
right
it's a
next to each
regular
other?
city.
Is it
We live in a
rural? Is it
townhouse.
urban?
It's
It's
everything. It's
it's
everything.
everything.
Fairbanks is, I guess what you would say is the closest, I guess, like, city of civilization till the point of where you wanna go rural. So there's people who live in
Mm,
Fairbanks City, and we live, like, in the town of in the city of Fairbanks and right next to each other. And then the further out you go, there's people who live a little bit out of town. They live a little bit in the mountains, forest areas, and then the further out you go, you're really living off the land. So a lot of people haul their own water. A lot of people build their own cabins.
mm,
A lot of people, it's
mm,
very much live off the land, and it's a really strong cultural aspect of people who are very self-sufficient, very capable, very much like,
mm,
I'm gonna do it whatever it takes. And everyone here is almost like, I would say so strong-willed. It's like you have to have that to
mm.
live in
You
Fairbanks.
have to have that, right.
And so what we see it is with people being there for each other as well, because it's like we're here, we're in it, we're in a difficult place to live, and so everyone's really here for each other. Like,
Mm,
there's a Facebook group here called Help Me, I'm Stuck, because when you're
Mm,
stuck outside in your car, something breaks down and it's negative temperatures, that's dangerous. And you have people coming to the
sure.
rescue left and right. People are there for each
Wow.
other.
Wow.
People are really there for
Wow.
each other. And so
So I was gonna
it's
say, like, in the cold, do you feel like a warm community because it's
yes.
so cold?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely, definitely, and that's what I would say really, really drew us here and continues inspiring us day by day is the warmth that we've experienced, and that's honestly, like, our mission pushing us forward is, like, light up the darkness, warm up the souls, bring
Mm,
warmth into the cold. The coldest time of year is really your time to get together and embrace each other as a community, and that's where we've found, like, a lot of our inspiration is the fact that people come out no matter the temperatures and no matter the dark, and
mm.
and people wanna be able to celebrate their Judaism together.
Wow, interesting. Is there, like, any history to your city, to Fairbanks, or some cultural events that go on there or,
Yeah,
customs or
Fairbanks.
whatever?
That's a good question. Fairbanks started really in the gold rush. It was
Mm,
a city that it's called the Golden Heart City, and in literal terms, it's when it was a big it was really established during that time of the gold rush, and also just the type of people living here in that warm heart, and
mhm,
a lot of fur businesses and Jews were here for more than 100 years actually. Jews coming
hmm,
from Russia, coming from what we
interesting.
call the lower 48 states, and
Wow.
and so there's actually been a Jewish community here for some time,
How
and
many Jews would you say are there in Fairbanks?
we take the courage to estimate about 1,000.
Really?
And
Wow.
and we're kind of sticking to that number, even though people, when we first decided to move here, said, "Are you going there to, like, inspire the polar bears? Like, what's
Right.
even there? What's even in Fairbanks, Alaska?" We said, "No, there's Jews there, and we're going there for them." And so and every day, every week, every month, we're just finding new people. They're finding us. People are really once they hear there's Chabad in town, they're like, "Okay, I wanna be there. I wanna connect." And so people we meet and just friends of friends, and over the past year, we've met over 200 people by now.
Wow. Wow.
And
So
it's
are you servicing more of the community that's there, or is there tourists, or, like, what kind
there's
of community?
There's a
Is there
variety of
military there?
people. There's a whole mix. So there's community, there's people living here, there's tourists that come through, and tourists are coming summer season and winter season because winter season we
Mm.
have the Northern Lights here. It's one of the top places in the world to see the Northern
Oh.
Lights.
Mhm.
And then in the summer, we live 2 hours from Denali National Park, and that's one of the tallest mountains in North
Oh,
America.
wow.
And so
Wow.
it's a big place that people come to and visit. So we've had a couple tourists coming. We to service the military base also. And we have a lot of members of the military that come for services and Shabbat meals and are very involved. And because the way it works in the army is it's rotations every couple of years, we're meeting new people. Every
Mhm.
couple months there's new people coming in and that's really exciting for us. And there's a university here, the University of Fairbanks,
Mm.
Alaska, and that's a big part of the community as well, because there's college students, Jewish college students, and Jewish
Mhm.
professors, and then people working in the university, researching and studying. And so we've met a lot of incredible Jewish people who are involved in the university as students, professors, researchers, and that's a big part of the community as well.
Hmm, interesting. Do people stay there? Like, do they live there, or do they just come
Many
for a couple
people
of years?
Most people live here. Most people
They
live
live
here.
there.
Yeah, students are for a couple of years
They're
and
very rugged.
army
They
is
don't
for a
mind the
couple of
cold.
years. They don't mind the cold. People who come here, they're strong.
Wow.
Yeah,
Now you mentioned the Northern Lights. Tell us a little about that.
it's beautiful. It's something that you can't really, picture or capture in a picture till you see it. We can see it from our backyard. You can see it even better if you go a bit out of town, and the northern lights are always there, but you can only see them when it's dark and clear, so
Mm,
you have to get lucky. Um, but they're pretty. magical. It's one of those things you look at and you're like, "Wow, Hashem, like, look at your creations." It's really wonderful. My mother was just here visiting, and I took her out driving, northern lights hunting, and I was telling her that they don't just stay still, they dance across the sky, and you see them come out, and then they're just, like, across the whole sky, and it's bright, and it's darker, and they come and go, but it's really breathtaking.
Wow. Wow, incredible. What did your family think when you decided to move to far out Alaska?
They first thought we were crazy. And then they became the most supportive and excited, and
Where do you fall in your family? Are you youngest, oldest, middle?
I'm middle/oldest. Slash oldest. I
Middle.
have an
Okay.
older brother, younger brother, and then a baby sister,
Uh-huh.
and so really, I guess we kind of, I don't know if you would say, defied expectations, or nobody expected us to move to Fairbanks, Alaska. That was
Right.
not like a place on a list that anyone like had in mind. It was definitely something they're like, "Oh, whoa, really? Like, how did that even happen?" So it wasn't expected, and but once everyone kind of got on board, it's they're like our biggest cheerleaders,
Mhm.
and my parents have the greatest joy from seeing what we're doing here, and they tell everyone in LA, like, "Look what my kids are doing in Alaska," showing pictures of everyone, and they're super proud, and I'm really grateful for their support, for my in-laws' support, and for the encouragement, and we love when they come to visit and see really the life that we're living here and the people that we're connecting to here, and what we're doing.
Wow, incredible. What do you feel is most challenging about your life there, living in Alaska?
I would say sometimes you do feel isolated. Sometimes
I'm
it does
sure.
feel far,
Mm,
and we both grew up in established Jewish communities.
mhm,
And so it's kinda like we're forging our own path right now.
mhm,
And so that part can be that part can be challenging, where
of course.
you're you're on your own in the sense of you feel like you're on your own sometimes. You're
Mhm.
not you're not
Sure.
ever on your own, and we do have
Right.
so many people here, supporting us and loving the work that we're doing. But sometimes I guess we need that boost of, like, going back to the friends and family that we
Mm,
have in the communities, and getting a bit of like that boost of like, this is why you're doing what you're doing,
mhm,
and kind of strengthening us on our mission. We both just took time in New York,
mhm.
and spent time with friends and spent time with family, and felt a real, I guess, for us, that really rejuvenates us and helps and
Sure.
encourage us, and that's why when visitors come and people come and enjoy it with us, it's really special to us. And so sometimes that it could be a challenge that comes up, is feeling isolated. And I think in Fairbanks you do feel far from a lot of things. At the
Mm,
same time, though, we're not necessarily living rural. Like, we have
mm.
everything that we need here. Amazon even comes here, Costco,
Really?
Walmart, like
Amazon?
all
Oh,
the
wow.
yeah, all you're not
Oh,
living in the
wow.
middle of nowhere. We have so much access
Really?
to so much, and we ship in a lot of kosher food, like the kosher meats
Well,
and
that was the
milks.
next thing I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you. What about kosher food? How does that work?
So we actually, surprisingly, we found here a large kosher section in the supermarkets, and we can find a lot of variety of stuff like breads and snacks, and Costco has so many kosher products. The main thing that we, I guess, struggle with is kosher meats and the dairy
Mm,
that we eat, and so we do a lot of
mhm.
shipping for the meats and the milks from all over, from LA, from New York, and we just have to have a lot of freezer space or outdoor space. And
Right.
like, if our freezer's ever too full or we get a shipment and didn't get to pack it away, we just put it outside and we'll be
Right.
totally
That
fine,
is
totally good.
right. Wow. Wow.
So yeah, that's the kosher deal.
And what about, like, I guess you have to make things from scratch because you don't have ready-made
Most
takeout or stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah.
or
So
challah that you can just buy in a bakery.
right,
Yeah.
right. You can actually find a lot of good local kosher bread, but challah I do make myself every week. and I really love making it, but it's true, there's no takeouts. There's no night you can ever say like, "Oh, I'm
Mm,
not in the mood of making dinner. Let's just go grab some pizza." Like, if we ever are in the mood of doing that, we take out a frozen meal from the freezer because sometimes we just prep
right.
meals in advance, and then if we want takeout, we make it ourselves.
Right, right. Wow.
Yeah.
And what about your children? How old are they?
So I have a 2.5-year-old girl. Her name's Mushka, and I have an 8-month-old boy, Mendy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're still kinda too young to realize that they're in a different kind of place.
My daughter realizes it.
She
She
realizes
gets
it,
it.
really?
They're growing up here, so for them, this is gonna be their normal. But when you kind of
Mhm.
step back a bit, it's like, whoa, like my daughter, her normal is that it's cold for the larger
Right.
half of the year. It's dark at times, and for her, it's normal. Like I pull down the shades and she goes, "Oh, it's nighttime." And I go, "No, it's actually still a little bit of daytime right now. It's just really dark out." And so
Right.
she understands that she lives somewhere special. When we had the first snowfall, um, just after Sukkot in October,
Wow.
I just started dancing with her in the snow and was like, "Yay, the snow is coming!" Because a lot of people get apprehensive, or it's like, "Oh no, we love
Right.
the summertime. Okay, snow is here. Bundle up for a big winter ahead." And I wanted to be excited about it because I know that it's a long winter ahead, and I wanted her to be excited about it. And so we just danced together in the snow, and she loves it. Like we'll bundle her up. She'll go running in the snow and dance in the snow, and the little baby will bundle him up too, take him in the stroller,
Yeah.
take him for walks, and it's kind of like you have to embrace it. You have to embrace that it's a cold life here, and you can't let it keep you stuck at home. I think that's really what gets you
Right.
through the winters. You do have to make it out of the house. You do have to see friends. You do have to get together. You do like we thank God we have our Chabad house very close to where we live. So like sometimes our outing of the day is let's go to the Chabad house,
Mm.
and so
And
just
what's
getting
going
out.
on in the Chabad house? Like, what kinda things are going on there?
So weekly, we have our Torah classes happening. We have Shabbat services. We have it on a monthly basis now with a big kiddush and a lunch. And then every holiday celebration, every event happening. We're really blessed to have a really beautiful space to be able to host everything that's happening. We have a kitchen, a volunteer kitchen where people from the community come together and cook meals from scratch,
Oh,
to then we distribute to people who need it throughout the Fairbanks community, and we keep extra also for members of our community that can use that little boost, and
mm,
and it's a really big community building activity,
mm.
and and we've been doing that consistently as well.
Incredible. Wow. I understand there's also some kind of customs like that people do in Fairbanks. Like in the summer, you get the salmon or the fish. You go
Yes.
fishing. Tell us
Yes.
about that.
We really embrace the Alaskan culture all the way. If you have lived in Alaska for over a year, you become an Alaska resident and you can go salmon fishing and catch yourself a lot of salmon. We brought back 55 salmon
Wow.
and have it in our freezers now. That's 110 fillets, and we are stocked
I
for
wanna know who's cleaning them all.
us. The way it
Wow.
works is my husband went in the summer. He went with a friend of his from the community and with two boys who came to visit for the summer to help out. They went 6 hours down south to the Copper River, which is a big salmon fishing place,
Mm,
and a lot of people in Alaska go fishing. It's one of those like let's provide for ourselves and also the abundance of fish here, and people are
mm.
stocking up their freezers, and so they go you can go regular fishing, you could go dip netting. So he went on a boat, he went dip netting, and within they said 2 hours they caught everything that they needed,
Oh, wow.
and he brought it back that night. And people on shore are filleting it a little bit, helping out, but we the next day was a whole project where we're hosing down the fish and cleaning them and vacuum sealing them, and it was a project that took many hours, but it definitely made us feel like we embrace the Alaskan culture. We have our salmon in the
Yeah.
freezer now, and it's really great salmon as well.
Yeah, it's a lot healthier than the salmon
Yeah.
that we're
Yeah.
getting here,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Wild. Song
Wow.
diet's the best.
Yeah. Wow. Do you eat a lot of
We eat
fish?
it.
Is that
We eat it.
you
Yeah,
eat
we
you eat
eat
a
it
lot?
every Shabbos. We eat it every week, and it's a big part of our diet.
Right. Wow. What about mikvah? Like, a Jewish woman goes to mikvah, we have a custom every time that she goes every month to mikvah. You don't have a mikvah there.
We don't have a
How does that
mikveh
work?
here yet. The closest one is in Anchorage, and so that's 45 minutes to an hour's flight away,
Mm,
5 to 6 hour drive, and that's what you gotta do. And
mhm.
so and so that really you just one of those things that you have to enjoy, embrace. There was a time I was flying to the mikvah, and the pilot goes, "Okay, we're passing by, Denali," which is the big mountain. He's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna take a little detour now, and I'm gonna show you the right side of the mountain. I'll show you the left side." And I thought it was the most incredible experience. I've never saw the mountain that close, and it's just outside your plane window, and I thought that was really special, and just because I was going to Anchorage then. And
Wow.
yeah, and God willing, we'll be building a mikveh here soon.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
That's great. Then you won't have to make those trips.
exactly, exactly.
Wow. And are there women who would be using the mikvah
I hope so.
in your community?
I
Yes.
hope so. That
Okay.
would be amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you spoke about, like, when it's very cold outside, it's actually dangerous to be outside. What if you have, God forbid, a burial that you need to do, in the cold? How does that work?
That's a great question because we've had to do that before, unfortunately.
Oh,
So, January of 2025, this we unfortunately heard of a community member that had passed away. He was a 92-year-old man. His name is Howard, and we had visited him over times, and we had brought him a Hanukkah menorah to light by his bedside when he wasn't doing well. And when we found out he had passed, we were in touch with his niece, who
mm,
had been organizing everything for him because he didn't have any children, and so we actually became very close to his niece over time. um, and she told us the news, and we said, "Okay, we're gonna take care of this." We call up the funeral home, and they said, "We don't bury until May 16th, until
oh,
springtime."
wow.
And we
Wow.
said, "Well, we're Jewish, and we don't do that. We don't wait around. We have to bury right away. It's so important to Jewish tradition that we bury right away, no matter what." And so we took it upon ourselves. We're gonna give this man a Jewish burial no matter what. And so we went around town talking to all different construction companies about
Mm,
excavating, and no one would take out their excavator. It's packed away for the winter.
mm,
And my husband, he's heading this mission. He said, "We're doing it. We'll go there. We'll dig it with our own hands." And
yeah.
he comes from the priestly family. He's a Kohen, and he
Oh,
usually wouldn't be able to do a burial for someone or be in a graveyard. But with permission from halachic authority, he was able to go in as long as he was distant enough from all other graves, and they
mm.
found a plot that would be distant enough from everywhere else, and and they started digging just with pickaxes and shovels, and they had gotten
What
some.
was the temperature like outside?
So it was about 10 degrees that day
Wow.
and snowing a bit. And the difficulty here is that the ground is frozen. And there's some
Frozen,
parts of the
sure.
ground that are permanently frozen. And it's really, really difficult to dig. And what we did here that was helpful was that the Native Alaskan community, it's very important for them also to bury right away. We share a lot of
Mm,
common values. And so we talked to them.
mm,
And they said that the way they do it is they build fires on top of the earth to soften up the ground,
mm,
and then they're able to dig. So my husband,
mm,
with community members that had volunteered to do this,
mm.
came
Wow,
with him with pickaxes and shovels, built fires, and spent hours digging, just picking at the
incredible.
ground and shoveling it,
Wow.
hours and hours in the cold, jumping in and out of the car, and it wasn't even easy to get there in the first place. There was a snowstorm, there were icy roads, it was very dangerous, but they said, "We're doing it no matter what." And and the family members of the niece we were in touch with came as well, and they were making real progress. It was dark because it's winter, and they had flashlights and headlights, and finally they were getting somewhere until someone hits something hollow.
Oh, wow.
It was an unmarked grave.
Oh my goodness.
So my husband, who can't be in proximity of a dead body, jumps out, jumps away, runs runs distant enough, And everyone's just like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on here?" And they suspect it could be someone Jewish, just unmarked, unknown, and there
Mm,
was disorganization in the previous manager of the cemetery, and they were so apologetic, and everyone felt a little, discouraged. They were working so hard,
wow.
and my husband said, "No, we have to do this." So they filled it back up,
Oh my gosh,
and
after all those hours, wow.
afterwards,
Ugh,
they came back the next day. And so they gained some more advice was that jackhammers really can help break the ground up, but the difficulty was that it dropped in temperature and it was negative 20
mm,
degrees.
ugh.
And so that was really difficult. And they had community members coming in and out and taking turns and shifts and just working and working and working in the cold temperatures and digging and breaking
With
up
the
the
fire
ground.
and bringing the fire
So
also?
this time the fire we didn't need because the
Yeah.
jackhammers did the work. We didn't need
Oh,
the fires.
okay,
The fires helped a lot
okay.
the first day, but the second day, second round, we didn't need
Wow.
the fires. And so after many hours of working hard, they managed to successfully dig a grave, and thank God we were able to bury Howard with dignity and grace of immediate Jewish burial. We were able to bury him the next day, and may his neshama have an aliyah. And a crazy
Amazing.
part to this story is that in no other situation or place or time would my husband have had to do this. If we lived
Mm,
in a big community of a big Jewish community, there would be other people, the Chavra Kadisha, the Holy Society, taking care of all the details and the burial, and he wouldn't have to have done that because he is a Kohen,
mm,
and if it was summertime in Fairbanks, Alaska, we would have had excavators digging the grave, but it was winter
mhm,
time, and my husband was the only rabbi in town to do this, and so he took it upon himself to get it done. It's a mace mitzvah. It's a mitzvah that can never be repaid, and and he found out that this man Howard, his Hebrew name is Herschel Baruch, and
mm,
Herschel and Tzvi are interchangeable because they both mean deer. Herschel's the Yiddish name for deer, and Tzvi in Hebrew is the Hebrew name for deer. And my husband's name is Baruch Tzvi. He shares the same name. And he
wow.
found out that his great grandfather, who was a survivor of the Holocaust, and he only found this out after he did this whole burial situation, that his great grandfather, Baruch Tzvi, who he was named after, he took it upon himself to bury people and give them the dignity and grace that they deserved. And he has lists upon lists of people that he had buried during the Holocaust. And so
Wow, that's
this
incredible.
it just
Wow,
blew us away.
chills, wow.
Yeah, yeah, it blew
Yeah,
us away.
wow, just picturing in that cold and just digging and digging and wow,
Yeah,
and then realizing that.
yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah,
Wow, that's really something. So this is part of your experience there in Alaska, in the
yeah,
cold of Alaska.
exactly. I
Wow,
would say that really brought out a very Fairbanks experience.
wow, I
Yeah.
interesting. Do you have any other stories that you wanna share with us?
I feel like that everyday living is a story. I feel
There's a
like that
story.
I feel like every person we meet and every encounter we have, whether it's at the grocery store and someone bumps into us and it's like Shalom Rabbi and we turn around, we're like, what? Like,
Right.
when Jewish people approach us, we find it like the biggest blessing. We get so excited. We treat every single person here like they're a real gem and diamond. Because that's what we're here for, is to find all those hidden gems and diamonds and bring them closer to God. And that's what we're here for, and here for them and to connect with them. And so we get so excited at every single person that we have encountered and met and connected to. And so it's so hard to think of sometimes, like, specific stories because 'cause I'm like, "We
Right.
just live life in a story." Like, we are in a storybook right now being written. Like, we're gonna write a book about this one
Right.
day. Like, this is just it's
Wow,
incredible. It's a really special life that we're living, and we're so grateful. We're so grateful that we have the opportunity to do what we're doing and to be living the life that we live and to be able to inspire people and be inspired and to raise our kids like this.
that's amazing. Do you ever feel like in the deep of the winter and the cold and the dark that you just wanna get out, that you just wanna get away and go somewhere warm and nice.
Sometimes you
Yeah,
need
I'm
to
sure.
for your sake to get out and go somewhere warm, so we definitely have good trips planned for the winter time.
Right.
Where we last year, we went to LA during the winter because both our families are located there to just warm up a little bit, get some fresh air,
Sure.
and be able to spend time outside without being bundled up and get some sunlight. Like, what blew us away, I remember our first time coming out of the winter in Fairbanks, we woke up at 6 a.m. in the morning to the sun. We were
Mm,
like, "What's that?"
right, wow.
We were used to sleeping in because then my daughter then, my son wasn't born yet, she was sleeping in also because it was just so dark
Right.
out.
You don't need those blackout curtains for the kids' room,
No,
right?
no, you need them for
Right.
the summertime though, or else they're
Right, right,
sleeping. You need them for
right.
yourself too.
Wow, wow. So,
Yeah,
looking back at your choice to settle there in Fairbanks, Alaska, what do you feel about it now at this point after you've lived there for quite a while already? What do you think about it? Like, did you make the right decision? Would you
I
have
would say
preferred
it
to go
was
somewhere else?
I would say it was the best decision I ever made, and it definitely put us on a projected, like, journey to, like, this is where you're meant to be, and I really believe that everyone ends up exactly where they're meant to be, and that's where God has destined for you to connect to the people that you need to connect to, and I definitely see that we we are the perfect fit for Fairbanks. Like, everyone's like, who else would have gone there? Or how would you have even ended up there? But once we've landed here and really just like dug our roots here, we connect so much to the place and to the people, and we love what we're doing, and the cold and the dark doesn't scare us. It can get us
Mm,
down and we have to get ourselves back up, but it doesn't scare us, and it doesn't
mm.
it's not stopping us. Like, we have really, really big plans for the future of just embracing the cold and the darkness, and specifically during that time bringing people out. Like, last
Tell us
year
some of your plans, like, tell us some of the things that you wanna do. Or like last year you were starting to say?
yeah, last year, Hanukkah, we had, outdoor menorah lighting. We didn't know if anyone would come because temperatures were dropping really, really low, and it was the biggest event we ever had. 30-minute outdoor menorah lighting, and we had a crowd, and people were waiting for us. Like, we arrived on the scene and people were there, and it was not just the Jewish community, the entire Fairbanks was invited, and people were excited about it, and people were so supportive. The whole community here is just so supportive. Um, and it was negative 20 degrees. I
Mhm.
actually, to admit, I got a little frostbite because I did something silly you're not meant to do in Fairbanks winter, and I didn't wear gloves for 5
Oh,
minutes in
wow.
negative
Wow.
degrees while putting
Wow.
out donuts on the table, and I learned my lesson, and you have to be really careful with making sure you
So what
stay.
happened with the frostbite? What do you do when you get frostbitten?
I recovered from it. It wasn't heavy, but you have to make sure that you get
You're
yourself
covered at
warmed
all
up,
time.
and
Wow.
I can feel my, tips of fingers again, but it was a little
Wow.
scary, yeah. You have to be
Does your face
careful.
does your face also have to be covered when you go out?
So most people then, when it was that cold, had
Had
scarves up to
something.
here, or you wear,
Mm.
like, a full face
Wow.
covering, um,
Wow.
or you just yeah, in and out.
Wow.
Yeah, you really you feel it, and you have to be careful, you have to be covered up, you have to be warmed up, but that's why it really blew us away that no matter how
So
cold
many
it
people
was,
came.
so many people came out, and we are blown away by that, and so what we really see is, like, we have to take that as well, and let nothing stop us. Let
Hmm.
nothing stop us, and just go for it, and keep on expanding what we're doing and growing what we're doing, and the events that we're putting on, and just don't let the cold and the dark get in the way.
Beautiful. Wow, really incredible. Do you have any like tips for somebody who is going to a place that they might not be used to or something that they're not is not familiar with them, like how to acclimate? Because you came from a very different place, a very different geographically, weather-wise, in every sense, and yet you got so used to this place and you look at it in such a positive way. Do you have any tips for somebody who might be changing locations or jobs or whatever that how they can get used to that new situation, new surroundings? Because it seems like you did it so well.
Thank you. I would say don't put too much pressure on yourself. Firstly, it's okay
Mhm,
for something to feel uncomfortable or weird or unsettled. Nothing has to fit perfectly or work perfectly, especially right away and at the beginning,
mm,
and that it takes time and you have to take it
mm,
step by step. Find one thing that you love about the place or about the new job
mm,
and focus on that. And you can write it down at the end of each day, one thing that you accomplished that day that you liked, or a place that you found in the new location you were living that you really enjoyed. And I think it's really the little steps with anything in
mm,
life, but specific to this, it's really the little steps that get you there, of just enjoying things, finding the small stuff that count, and being able also to connect to other people in the same situation. Like, if you find
mm,
someone else that has been through it that you can connect to or talk to, if you have found someone else who's in it with you, and you support each other and can share with each other. And I find that really helpful, having people that relate. I'm part of a really special group of shluchas called the Ufaratsta circle,
mm,
and I just got together with them, and it was the most incredible experience. It was my first time meeting so many other shluchot who are in the same boat, who are
mm,
doing so much just like me, and I felt really picked up, and like,
mm.
wow, I can do what I'm doing because there's so many others like this and so many others I have to lean on, that we can support each other and really go through this um together. Like, I have people I can talk to. I have people who I can ask advice from, and I felt it's so important having someone, some people, and that you can just connect with.
Mhm. Absolutely, because it seems like your mission is so much what's fueling you. You know, your purpose there and your mission and your joy in being there is just incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chani Wolf, for joining us, for telling us about your incredible shlichus there in Fairbanks, Alaska. And we wish you all your dreams should come true and all the things that you want to accomplish there.
Thank
And
you.
continued success in warming up the cold and lighting up the night and the
Amen.
darkness.
Thank you.
Wow, what an interview. I mean, we hear about people, shluchos and shluchim, going out to really faraway places, but I felt this was like a great way of really understanding what life was like, what life is like for some of them. And I mean, such a cold place like Fairbanks, Alaska, that was really like the most northern place, the darkest place. Honey described the how it affects daily life, you know, within the winter, with the nights being so long, not having only like 4 hours of sunshine, and in the summer, the opposite, having Shabbat being so, so long. What I loved about her was the attitude, her upbeat attitude, how she was just tackling whatever it is that there is in such a positive way, the way that she looked at her shlichus in such a personal way, that she was meant to be there, and how she connected with her community, how she loves her community because they are such doers and such people that are very rugged and they're with a real can-do attitude. That story that she told about that burial of Howard was incredible. I'm just picturing people standing there one day and then the next day. What camaraderie and what unity the Jewish people has to do a proper burial, and that connection that she had with her husband, his name and her husband's name was really, really awesome. So this was life in Fairbanks, Alaska. I'm wondering what you thought of that interview, what questions you would ask Chani about her life, how incredible it is to be bringing Judaism to and light and warmth to the cold northern land of Fairbanks, Alaska. If you enjoy watching these videos, I hope that you are subscribed to Chabad.org/extraordinary. You can find us as well on YouTube. We have all our podcasts shared there. Give us a like, share a comment. We love to hear from you. Share the video with your friends. Get the word out. We would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this extraordinary community.